Hello, this is Dr. Kamani, licensed clinical psychologist. And I want to ask anyone who is working in any type of organization, how can you say that you stand for Black people or stand with Black people, yet you treat Black staff like the N word? Okay. So this is just an open question for organizations, particularly after 2020, when we saw so many organizations saying that they stand for Black lives and all these different things. And what many of us have seen and have experienced is that things have been very much performative. So years later, years out, following this so-called racial reckoning, we're seeing an increasing number of Black women who were brought into DEI spaces leaving DEI spaces for a number of reasons, okay? So I just want to speak a little bit to this. I was really motivated and inspired to do this video after I watched Colette Elizabeth's video, in which she talked about my thoughts about affirmative action and other things. Excellent video. And she said that she had done a survey or a poll, and she asked people about their experiences of DEI in the workplace and to what degree the DEI efforts really seemed sincere, like they were really focused on transformative diversity work. And from her poll, right, which is informal, but from her poll, I thought it was very telling. So 6% of the people said that they felt like their organization was really about true transformative DEI work. They were really invested in it, right? And then I think it was like what 25% said that their organization had nothing in relation to DEI. But what was most disturbing is that 69% said that their organization treats DEI just like it's a checkoff, okay? And many of you who might be watching this right now have had experiences in which DEI, the rollout, is very much performative. And so, ways that you can really see if an organization, and my Spelman sister, Dr. Monica Cox, talks about Stop Playing Diversity. I've done a number of videos on my YouTube channel, Lifting Us with Climb Consulting Wellness Services, about Stop Playing Diversity. But these performative DEI efforts really hurt people in the workplace because you're setting people up with a false hope that things will really change, and things really won't change. So people in the workplace can make themselves vulnerable to sharing about their experiences, and it just falls flat like a belly flop. Okay. So I'm just here to talk about and ask you if you are really about the business. Okay. So are you walking the talk? So that's something that we know about a lot in our communities in terms of walking the talk. So are you saying one thing and doing another? So are you saying, oh, we stand with Black lives, we, are doing all these things for Black people, but the Black people in that environment, they would say that they are treated horribly, okay? And that they see the differences in terms of how people are treated based upon the social hierarchy, okay? So that's the first thing to really look at. Are you walking the talk, okay? Or are you just, as my sponsor said, Dr. Monica Cox, are you just playing at it, okay? So again, remember, when you're playing at diversity, you are harming people. So you are not helping anybody. You're just doing a check off, like, okay, did it, done, okay? Number two, in terms of being able to assess this, is really to look at within your organizations, who are the gatekeepers? So the gatekeepers are those who make the ultimate decision. So do the gatekeepers reflect those who have the lived-in experience? Do they reflect, if you're working in certain communities, are the gatekeepers reflective of that population or that community? So many times the gatekeepers are not from the community, they don't have the lived-in experience. And what's really interesting is that the gatekeepers sometimes will engage in behaviors where they act as if they have more experience than those with lived-in experience. Many of you may have experienced that as well. So, when I thought about what Colette Elizabeth talked about in her video, and I was so intrigued by it, but it also triggered some thoughts that I had about the job that I resigned from. So, I've talked on my YouTube channel at length about my healing journey and ways that I have really worked to share my healing journey in the hopes that I could help other Black women in terms of leaving and healing from toxic jobs. Okay. But the other thing is that part of the healing journey, as I talked about, is there's a grief process. So part of the grief process, you go through the different stages of grief, just like when somebody passes away. And one of the grief responses is anger. And so I know that many of us, particularly Black women, we walk a fine line in relation to even acknowledging feelings of anger in relation to the workplace because of the stereotype of the angry Black woman and all these other things, right? So we're very mindful of how we present in the workplace. And I would even say it happens even once you leave. So after I left the workplace, I've been very conscious about talking about my experiences, but I haven't gone into explicit detail many times because number one is traumatic, okay? And so I've talked about a lot of my experiences more in detail with Stephanie Perry, interviewed me, as well as Glam Mazzini. So I don't talk at length about my story. However, I do know, and I know that Black women have talked to me and asked me about my story, that people want to know a little bit more about my story, right? They want to know why I keep talking about Black women in toxic jobs. And I did a little video about that too, in terms of really breaking that down. But part of my healing is also not feeling a sense of that I'm silenced about my experiences because of concerns that people might think that I'm bitter or I'm angry, right? But I just want to say to myself, to remind myself, and to other people, other Black women, that you have every right to feel anger when you have been done wrong, okay? And the anger may not only be in terms of what your experiences may have been, the anger may also be in terms of what you see other Black people encountering in the workplace, okay? So it may be Black staff. For me, it was not only Black staff, it was Black students, Black families. And so what I noticed and what I kind of got in this pattern of that I was going to really work to advocate for the rights of Black staff, students, and families. But what was difficult to also manage was that it was like full on attack on me. And when George Floyd was murdered, my organization also did very much of the performative DEI. They asked me to come in. So, on top of my regular work duties, they asked me to help out with their DEI or anti racist efforts. But I just wanted to share with you in terms of what my experience was and how, again, performative diversity causes harm. Okay. So I was asked to come in to help out. And around the same time, there was this big national anti-racist conference. And so you had to apply to be in the conference, you had teams, and me and one of my colleagues, another Black woman, worked really hard on like the application. We worked all weekends, so off hours. We worked on this application. And then at the last minute, someone who does not look like us, but who was known throughout the district as the authority of things, okay, so remember, gatekeeper, came in and made herself the team lead of our team, okay? So she does that. And then my friend who we worked on the application all weekend together, they told her she couldn't be on the team. Okay. So we're doing this thing. I'm going to the meetings. You know, you're supposed to go to these meetings and have homework. The so-called team lead would just complain all the time about the homework, and she couldn't understand anything that people were talking about. Particularly if it was a Black woman presenting something, she just couldn't understand what they were talking about. They would talk too fast, or it wasn't helpful, or she always knew better. Okay. So that was one example. But eventually my coworker was brought in back in because none of the people that we had on the team were doing the work, really. Okay. So again, that was one thing. A second thing was when all this stuff was happening, we were in the middle of a pandemic, excuse me. And there was a we had meetings about how to support Black students, or how to support students, excuse me, how to support students in general throughout the whole district. Okay, so we had meetings about things we could do, and this just shows you how outrageous it is, right? So we're in the meeting, a small group of us, and we're talking about different ways we could try to connect to students and, offer support and check in with them and things like that. And two of the people there, one was a Black man, the other one was a non-white man, said, "Oh, we have some exciting news. We want to show the new version of Roots to the kids. We can get it broadcast throughout the district, and that'd be great so they can learn about their history and about resilience." And I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So during a pandemic, when all this other racial stuff is going on, you want to show Roots to kids? And they're at home, like, what? Okay, so again, very much a performative efforts. And the third thing I want to say, so I already talked to you guys about, one, are you walking the talk? Two, who are your gatekeepers? Okay, these are always for you to assess if you are really standing with Black people. Okay, or are you saying you're standing with Black people, but you treat Black people like the N-word? And we all know what that means in terms of what that looks like. Okay, the third question I want to ask you is, um, I want you to reflect on how you're treating all Black people in the workplace, every person, okay? Not just your friends, or not just the people who are aligned with you. Because what I have seen, what I've heard about is that there is like kind of the token Black people, or the people that, oh, they're like, oh, that's my best friend. Like, I can't be racist because so and so's my best friend, or I really like this person. And so in many ways, that Black person is seen as kind of like insurance to show like, oh, no, 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 I like Black people. No, I can't engage in anti-Blackness because I have Black friends, or I associate with other Black people. I've been to their houses. You can still engage in anti-Blackness, even if you have so-called Black friends or those who are aligned with you. But what you might find is that they may be connected to you not because they're really your friend, but they may have some concerns. They might have peeped you a long time ago in terms of your anti-Blackness, and they don't want to be the target of it too. Okay. So again, three things for you to assess if you are engaging in this performative diversity, particularly in relation to saying you stand with Black people, but you treat Black staff like the N-word. Okay. So remember, are you walking the talk? Who are your gatekeepers? Are your gatekeepers included in terms of those who lived and experience? And are those people allowed to make decisions? Or are they just face value? Okay, like, oh, we hired 20 Black people, right? But they have no degree of power whatsoever. Okay. And then the third thing is, assess how you are treating all Black people in the workplace. So if you are treating a small number of Black people okay, but the vast majority of them you are not, that's problematic. Okay. So again, I was just inspired to do a very short video after I saw Colette Elizabeth's video about her reactions about affirmative action and other stuff, particularly when she read those poll results. Because again, when we come onto YouTube and we share stories, we share about experiences, you see how many people have similar experiences. So how many people are in a workplace, in an organization, or have been, in which they say one thing and they do another. Okay, so if that is your experience, if you are in that organization and that is happening to you, take an opportunity to really reflect on if that is the organization that you want to continue to stay at. Okay, because you have options. If you are watching this video and you are engaging in this behavior, then my hope is that you self-reflect, you reflect within your organization, and that you make changes. And the changes are not to have more book clubs, okay? The changes are those activities that really dismantle white supremacist behaviors, okay? And again, anyone can engage in white supremacist behaviors, so we're not just talking about white people, but the organization really needs to look at what type of work culture are you supporting, okay? Because if you have a work environment where people don't feel a degree of psychological safety, they don't feel respected, they don't feel like they belong, you will end up losing a lot of good staff. And you will lose a lot of money because you have trained and onboarded all these people and they're going to end up leaving. Okay. So again, if you want to think of it as a financial consideration, it may not be like you're just altruistic and you just want to be from a financial consideration, your company won't do well. Okay. So again, if this is you, then assess what is happening, not only with you, but also within your organization, and look at what type of transformative efforts, anti-racist efforts that you are really incorporating within your organization, that it's not performative, it's not just book clubs, okay? That you are doing other things. So you are looking at and changing your policies, your systems, your structures, your levels of accountability. Because when people know they're going to be evaluated on something, you will see them kind of fall in line, okay? So again, just want to come on very briefly and just encourage people to be true about how they are in the workplace, okay? Because again, when you don't have psychological safety in the workplace, that will not help your organization, okay? So if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Lifting as we climb consulting wellness services. Take care. Oh, and please give this video a thumbs up. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.